Okay, welcome everybody. Welcome Ed and Demonte.
Peace and blessings to everybody. Morning, everybody. This is another episode of the Freedom Fighters on a podcast, the YouTube channel, Change Starts With Us, Ohio. I'm at work. Of course, I'm here with my co-host, Demonte and James. What's going on, free world? We ask for listeners and subscribers to share our show's links on your social media platforms with the hashtag Ohio Freedom Fighters. And we urge, your family and friends to subscribe to the podcast, the YouTube channel, Change Starts With Us, Ohio. We plan to use the last 8 minutes or so on our second phone call to answer any questions. So we ask that you be patient with us until the end. We want to show our gratitude for all those who came out to support our wrongful eviction protest that was this past Saturday, October 3rd, on the State House in Columbus, Ohio. Unfortunately, our phones wasn't working properly, so we weren't able to call during the protest. But God willing, we'll be able to call regarding the issues for our violence to death police protest that held on October 17th, 2020 in front of the Chillicothe Correctional Institution. So we're on the topic of rehabilitation. Most of the questions that our friend Nikita asked us, really caused us to have some deep one-on-ones, about where we at in our lives and what impact or role that we can have on prison reform. This call is originating from an Ohio correctional facility and may be recorded and monitored. As well as in regards to associated issues that have a dramatic impact on people's lives. We're both mentally, spiritually, and emotionally strong as ever. Demonte is like a little brother to me, and I got a lot of love and respect for my comrade. We feed off each other's energy and make sure that we always at our best. There's other guys in here who we vibe with tough, and we also have a responsibility to make sure that we all in good spirits and we all what we're supposed to be mentally. So we appreciate those who are out there concerned about mental health. You feel me? It's love. So rehabilitation, it's a deep topic with many different layers of viewpoints. From our vantage point, we feel that our understanding of rehabilitation is a lot more personal because we're going through it now and witnessing it firsthand, So it's a popular misconception that, prisons are designed to rehabilitate. Most of us are released and returned back to society worse than we were before we went into prison. And this is the reason why recidivism rates continue to spike, each year. Prisoners, we become angry and bitter at the system for being psychologically tortured by confined within these institutions. And then, when we are released without any support back into the very environments that help, us be, living an unproductive lifestyle, you feel me? It's crazy, sticking a person in prison ain't going to necessarily cause that person to become reformed, no matter how long they're sentenced to serve. If a person ain't given the tools to expand their thinking, well, they don't want to change, they won't. I don't care how much time they spend in prison. If a person ain't willing to change, they ain't going to change no matter what you do to them. You feel me? So, we acknowledge that there are people who need to be isolated from the rest of society due to their actions while in society. But we also feel that there are many people who deserve a second chance in life, especially those who commit crimes at young ages who have the means of survival. It's a difficult concept for us to understand that a young person could be labeled a lost cause and be sentenced to prison for the majority of, if not the rest of their life, when they have yet to fully even understand their purpose in life. You feel me? Prison should be the last resort for some people. And there should be a system set in place that can truly help rehabilitate people and get them to begin to change their lives instead of turning back on crime as a means of survival. You feel me? The majority of us that have a negative outlook on life when we come to prison, our third eye is open after we have been exposed to knowledge and education that has been so heavily hidden from us. Our oppressors don't want us to elevate our minds, change our way of thinking. Materials on ideology and the history of the Black Liberation Movement, who gave us the political consciousness, and the Nation of Islam, who made Black people be proud of our culture and nationality. The Nation of God is, the Nation of God, the Earth, who took within the hierarchical leadership and established self-independence, and the legacy of the late George L. Jackson, who taught us how to fight back against racism and oppression within the judicial system, etc. Material like this is banned from institutions and labels. This call is originating from an Ohio correctional facility and may be recorded and monitored. That's no security threat group material. However, books on white supremacy and Nazism that preaches hate against people of color, like it remains in abundance. In fact, you can actually find some of the same material in a prison library. A lot of our libraries become books from each other and materials we collected over a long period of time. Like, actually, my first piece of conscious material was Malcolm X's autobiography, came from my comrade, Rang. And that was right after being on death row for about 6 months. So you take a 19-year-old African sentenced to die, stick him in the cell with a book about Malcolm. Now, I came out with a point to prove because 12 white jurors and a judge all decided that 19-year-old African deserved to die, that I was beyond rehabilitation. Like that filled me with a desire to grow, to prove that I deserve to live, like to prove that they got it wrong. So I look deeper behind the conviction for generational flaws embedded in the power structure, deeper within myself, and self-awareness became growth. And now I can advocate on behalf of the voiceless, disenfranchised, the political prisoners that I learned from about a system that's designed to keep us young and ignorant, use us and exploit us by any means. A system where it's more than legal. Already, that's real. I mean, like, the lack of educational programs make it nearly impossible for us to rehabilitate our mind frames unless we are fortunate enough to be housed around conscious-minded brothers or for female sisters who can facilitate the opening of our third eye to help us see beyond a matrix of oppression and look at life from different angles. It's only then that we begin to build our life, positively and make dramatic changes that will have a major impact on our existence. The late comrade Huey P. Newton once said, one who is ignorant simply lacks educational knowledge of something. They are mentally and spiritually blind to light. Stupidity, however, is worse than being ignorant, but one who is stupid to elevate their knowledge and wanted to, but chooses not to. End quote. And that's something that I live on daily, always trying to be the best version of myself. Most prisoners are completely isolated in prisons where due to their security level, they're not eligible to participate in programs. And that gives them a strike against their parole because they have not reformed or rehabilitated themselves. So this in turn means that in most cases, they will be parole flopped, or in other cases, unable to be released from isolation. This is as far as a cycle that continues to devastate the lives of millions. We do believe that there should be some kind of reparations put in place for ex-cons, not necessarily monetary or materialistic, but rather a program that will help uplift them once they're released back into society so that they can cope with life, be able to get jobs, housing, and be able to deal with the psychological effects that being in prison has cast upon them. So there are many non-profit organizations that offer their assistance to ex-cons, but I feel that the government should also fund these organizations, create more rehabilitation programs, and offer their assistance in other ways in order to have all of its citizens' best interests at heart. The psychological effects of servitude, when I mean servitude, I mean prison, will not only affect us mentally and emotionally, but it also has a dramatic impact on our physical and spiritual structures as well. It's a disease that attacks our mind frame, and once our psychological capacity becomes vulnerable to this form of violence, it triggers the negative ways in which we perceive life and the way that we react to the conditions that plague our existence. You feel me? Yeah. I want to add on, the name in itself is misleading. Department of Rehabilitation and Correction. When in reality, rehabilitation is bad business for state workers and unions. Incarceration does not stop crime, and in fact, often leads on crime. These same CO unions instigate crime and imprisonment because it creates job security. They campaign for 3-strike laws, and they campaign to eliminate educational programs in prison. And the propaganda in the media has most people thinking serial killers in prison. But 68% of prison admissions each year are parole or probation violations. When committed separately, off parole or probation. They're not even jailable offenses. To put simply, the state is not interested in rehabilitation, so we must get involved. We must take control of our own growth and development. Because little do we know, young Africans been in rebellion their whole life, growing up in inner cities, politically uneducated to articulate what they see and feel, economically shut out due to an order that thrives on ignorance. Naturally, they rebel. Rebellion is energy and thought towards the resistance against the system intent on taking one's right to live. The natural.
This call is originating from an Ohio correctional facility and may be recorded and monitored.
The natural rebellion is always crime, and this causes a cycle of ignorance and mass funding for building prisons. And then, while serving sentences, we rehabilitate ourselves as a form of conscious resistance against the system we fell victim to. And we try to feed the free world soundbites of alternatives to oppression. It's more than raising awareness, it's sparking interest to motivate others to get involved. Being incarcerated, it do something to people mentally and spiritually. And if you're willing to look inside yourself and embrace your fears and flaws, you can become something better than you know. Use adversity to overcome boulders, reach goals, and feel confident. Or you can let it infiltrate your personality and make you miserable. The bars and the walls, they all affect us differently. I use them to channel the will to struggle on. But it's an individual experience for everybody. And it takes genuine self-evaluation about who you are and where you're planning to go. Being incarcerated allows us the talent tool needed to make that transformation.
Already. I mean, that's real. You feel me? Like we said before, like rehabilitation is an individual process. Some of us have other comrades that we look up to that have been through the struggle of incarceration that, help guide us along, and others had to find out the hard way. I like Monte, what I call Sosa. Y'all know about the Monte Brown, but I call him Sosa. I like Sosa, I had to go through the changes. Like a lot of the guys that we had, older guys that some have been since executed, some have been since released from, death row back into population. We, stay in contact with periodically. Back then, the mentality of death row, the environment was completely chaotic. And so didn't nobody care about nothing. We believe that the protocol that they have in Ohio, which we'll get to on another segment, was on hold, and we was under the belief that they would get rid of the death penalty. So we was living in a moment of whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like, and not really prepared and focused. I wasn't prepared and focused because I wasn't doing my legal work and standing on top of my lawyers who I knew that was incompetent, wasn't doing their job correctly because they had me believing that because a family member sat on my jail, that was automatic ground of reversal. And of course, anybody that knows the law, a 57.
You have 1 minute remaining.
That's just on your jail. That should be an automatic reversal for a new trial, but it didn't. So in this next segment, we're going to wrap up rehabilitation and talk a little bit about the level 5 supermax placement and how.
This call is originating from an Ohio correctional facility and may be recorded and monitored.
In the last 8 minutes, we're going to ask the questions in the last 8 minutes of the second call. So we'll call back here in a second, Jay.
Okay, brothers. Okay.
Thank you for using GTL.
Here's DeMonte again. Oops, let's start over.
We want freedom, slavery still legal. Tell me how we equal. Mass incarceration, Jim Crow the sequel. This one for my people, caged and confined. They trap your mind, they gotta beat you. Propagating lies, watch me bring the truth to the light. We want freedom, slavery still legal. Tell me how we equal. Mass incarceration, Jim Crow the sequel. This one for my people, caged and confined. They trap your mind, they gotta beat you. Propagating lies, watch me bring the truth to the light.
Wow. Is he good? And I'm not a rap person, but that was good.
I already know.
This call is from a correction facility and is subject to monitoring and recording. Thank you for using GTL.
Okay, my brothers.
Okay, so now we're going to talk about the level 5 Supermax placement. Level 5 is like, when a person, end up being 23-1. So, like level 5 Supermax placements in the penitentiary have proven to be treacherous conditions that affects inmates or prisoners. Again, we're not using the word inmates, so prisoners psychologically as well as physically. Having spent 3 years of level 5 myself, I witnessed firsthand many prisoners go utterly insane from the treacherous conditions of isolation. You pretty much cut off from the limited communication that you do have with your loved ones, which is the only hope that many of us have, and something that many of us hold dear to us to begin with. You're forced to do your time at level 5 with little to no property and privileges. You're also limited to what interactions and communication that you do have with other prisoners as well. Two things can result from being a level 5. You can become your own best friend and you'll find yourself, or you can become your own worst enemy and lose yourself. I went through a spiritual and psychological metamorphosis while I was in level 5, but I had to become my own enemy before I could become my own best friend. And there was times when I was so lost within myself that I didn't even recognize the person I was in that moment. It took a lot of conditioning and soul searching for me to be able to get back on track with reality. For nearly a year after I was released back to the general population, I suffered with a sense of paranoia that triggered a rage deep inside me that caused me to violently.
This call is originating from an Ohio correctional facility and may be recorded and monitored.
At other prisoners. Imagine if I had been released back into the world, the free world, in its little state. You feel me? And a lot of people are. You feel me? Recent studies have shown that after a person is subjected to total isolation, that their mental health, they can have extreme mental health issues such as mental depression, aggression, PTSD, and antisocial behavior, and yet there are hundreds of thousands of prisoners being held in isolation throughout the U.S. penal system, that are released back into society with severely limited or simply no means to cope with the psychological strain. See, I've been locked up on death row for about 4 years, and I heard your story about level 5, some people call it the shoe, and I heard other different stories, and I can only compare that to like 23-1 old time where I used to reevaluate and build on different materials. But what can cause somebody to get put into that type of environment? Okay, it's really level 5 is supposed to be the worst of the worst, meaning gang members that create violent acts against other gang members, guys that might have assaulted staff or stabbed another prisoner or tried to escape, or you got our comrades Keith Lamar, Damani Shakur, Hassan, Namir, and the guy Jason Robb. Lucasville 5 guys are up at level 5, and they'll never get out of there. You feel me? It's pretty much that. The worst of the worst. I got put at level 5 because I, severely hurted another, prisoner over some BS goals. You feel me? And I turned 18 months into 3 years because I just didn't have no regard for anything but what I wanted to do. Redemption. It took me a long time to understand redemption clearly and correctly. I was equating it with my own theories of understanding, but it took me a while to really understand that redemption is an act of redeeming, or the state of being redeemed.
This call is originating from an Ohio correctional facility and may be recorded and monitored.
Redemption is a continuing process of change that creates day-to-day improvement in your life. No one can give you redemption. It's something that you have to search for within yourself. It's not a discriminable commodity that is based upon classism, elitism, or political background, gender, race, or religion. Redemption awaits everybody, and it's possible in everyone if we develop a conscience that will counter the injustices of our own ignorance. If we know the way we are perceived and judged, we must use this knowledge as a power to make a difference and break an ongoing and worsening cycle. We all can make a change.
not just people in prison, but everybody. If only we dedicate our time and energy and to truly tap into our own being and begin figuring out our own self-worth and what good we have to offer the world through our everyday actions. You know, our life has a purpose bigger than our own comprehension. The things that we say and or do have an immediate impact on the lives of those who we come in contact with. You know, we need to get rid of this defeatist dream that kills our potential for envisioning hope and progress. You know, just because we exist and live amongst madness and negativity doesn't mean that we have to dwell in madness. It's impossible that we outthink. It's important that we outthink negative situations with a common sense approach that in turn radiates masterful countermeasures. You feel me? A lofty belief, you know, like knowing is one of the main keys to changing. That's something that, you know, a guy that was on that road told me when I first started writing my autobiography. And he was like, yo, we talking about all the negative stuff, where all the good stuff at? And I'm like, well, it's a book, you know, like, it's about my life. He's like, nah, you better than that. Like, I'm like, well, I didn't already change. He's like, well, if you change, show people that you're changing. You feel me? Like, in order for you to be able to show people that you change, you got to know. You feel me? And if we know the way that we're perceived and judged by our peers and by society as a whole, we can use this knowledge as power to pay it forward and have a dramatic impact on the future of the next generation that follows behind us. You feel me? Like, don't become a statistic, man. Like, be a part of the change, yo. You know, because, like, change starts with us. You feel me? So, I mean, you got anything else you want to add on that, or pretty much hit on everything, man? Right. What about questions, James? Anybody got any questions?
Sure, and I'm thinking about if we need to, we could do a segment tomorrow just on questions, if you'd like. But, okay. One of the questions was, did they have any evidence on you, or were you set up? And I guess this would go with both of you.
Okay, so I'm gonna let DeMonte answer here to me. You know,
Well, there was not any evidence. I mean, you can say I can say that I was set up because I was basically a scapegoat for individuals who were caught and admitted so they can get. I was their bargaining chip. Either they can be charged as the fire or principal offender, or they can place blame on someone else. And I was that scapegoat.
Right. For me, you know, the guy that committed the crimes, you know, he tried to do what he could to keep from getting the death penalty. He put everything on me. The crazy thing is that they offered me a deal to testify against him. I refused. If I'd have testified against him, he'd have been on death row, and I'd have been in prison just doing regular time. He's got 18 years to life. He got 4 more years free go for parole. And from what I understand, he has a guaranteed parole. So he would be basically out of prison in 4 years. And it's kind of crazy. So,
Wow.
You know.
Okay. Let's go to the next question. And this would go for both of you again. And I'm not sure what this is. I'm not legally minded. Okay, it says, did your attorney file for Voir Dire, VOIR Dire?
We're here. Yeah, that's the jury process. Yeah. We had, in my case, we tried to get a evidentiary here about the juror issue because she clearly lied on the voir dire about her relationship to the victims, about her knowledge of the case, everything. She had ample reason to lie. She was a family of the same victim that I got the death penalty for. However, not to say anyone deserved to be killed any more or less than the next person. The victim that I got the death penalty for, who the juror was related to, she wasn't even nowhere a part of the initial crime that we.
This call is originating from an Ohio correctional facility and may be recorded and monitored.
They had an easier time painting a sad story to the jury to get me convicted upon her murder because the guy was a known drug dealer. He was a known gang member. He had drugs on him and had a gun on him. So he basically shifted the focus on her, and she wasn't even who he plotted to rob. You understand what I'm saying? And in order to get the death penalty, the aggravating circumstances had to outweigh mitigating circumstances. And for some reason, they were able to get that off.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
So,
You guys will be getting a JPEG from one of the listeners, probably. She's our secretary as well.
People people can, we gonna have some set up where it'll show our information while y'all hearing us talk, but, you know, it's simple, you know, JPay, JPay, you can download the JPay app. Once you download the JPay app, you set up a JPay account, and then once you set up your JPay account, you add us to your account using our inmate ID number. My inmate ID number is 532-018. My name is Edward Lane, and the Monte Graham's ID number is A691689.
What? Yeah. I posted your numbers on the video, guys.
Right, we're in the state of Ohio, so that's all you have to put in, like, our number, and then the state of Ohio, our name should automatically pop up. Once our names pop up, and you can send us messages, we can respond to the messages in real time. Right. We can go from there. That'll make questions a lot easier and better, because, you know, we try to come up with, like, content, you know, to discuss a lot of different topics, and there's a lot of topics that's going on out in the free world right now that we definitely want to find time to, you know, loosely discuss. You know, the true enlightenment on things, you know, from a different perspective, as well as, you know, you got a lot of people that's out there that's concerned with so much, you know, work and other things that, you know, listen to a podcast when they're there for work, or they out in the Bible, or they, you know, in a car or something, you know, it can help, you know, enlighten them on issues that they might overlook because they might not have the time to watch TV or read.
We got one important question, at least I think is, Jasmine said, right to National Action Network, Reverend Al Sharpton.
You want to get into that, bro, or you want me to? Yeah, okay. We appreciate that information. We definitely do, and Al Sharpton is kind of like, not my favorite activist, or kind of, you know, somebody told me if you ain't got nothing nice to say, man, don't say nothing at all. So I'm going to just leave that one alone. But we definitely appreciate that.
Hey, why don't you guys call tomorrow, say at 11 or 11:30, and let's do an answer and question section for these people that would like to ask questions. And maybe some of them can even send me questions in an inbox, and you guys can open the floor to any questions people may have. Can you do it?
Okay, good. Yeah, absolutely. Definitely follow us on Facebook. My Facebook page is Malik Sincere, MALIK Sincere, 2 words. I'm out of Baltimore, Maryland. You should see me on there. True Golly is my brand, which should be in the background of the cover photo. And Sosa is the Monte Graham, DAMANTAE Graham. We also have music on SoundCloud and YouTube under K Sosa, TAE Sosa. You know, that's just, he got music out there. We about to get music popping on the platform. We got another guy, Gutter Boy 90s Baby out of Detroit. That's one of my little brothers, man. He independent artist that's trying to get on the sound stage. We got Silas Bloom out of Akron. He's supposed to be coming down to the rally that we doing on October 17th. Okay. And he's talking about possibly shooting.
Yeah, do me a favor. JPay me both of your Facebook pages so I can post it down here, okay?
Yeah.
Just JPay it to me.
We already did that. So, like, this is one of the many topics we have about rehabilitation. You know, we're trying to keep an open mind about the topics we're discussing on this podcast and channel. We're definitely going to cover a wide range.
This call is originating from an Ohio correctional facility and may be recorded and monitored.
Yeah, I got you. Since the month they got to lock up, but we're going to interview another prisoner on death row who we believe is innocent. That'll be on an up-and-coming show. Our next show on Friday, October 9th, we'll discuss more about rehabilitation as well as fresh style content.
You have 1 minute remaining.
How it's affecting our youth out in the free world. You know, we need us to be claiming forever remain, CRU, we true. You know, remember, change starts with us to make your next move, your best move, help us, you know, get the word out, man, get the views up and things like that. Tomorrow we'll do a Q&A. If people want to send questions on JPay, they can send them to James, and we can get them, and we can spend tomorrow around 11:30, 12 o'clock, somewhere it is, God willing to do that. We definitely appreciate y'all listening. Share the podcast with the hashtag Ohio Freedom Fighters. And tune in, man. We got more material for y'all, man. Tune in. We appreciate you, James.
Okay, brother. Talk to you tomorrow. Okay, talk to you tomorrow. Hey, guys, these these people are very important to us. They are innocent, and we're going to ask you to please let people to know to watch live every Monday and Friday at 11:30 a.m. Tomorrow we're going to do it again 11:30 or 12. Because I would like that to be answer question day for them. It's hard for a lot of the questions to be answered in 8 minutes that they plan on at the end, especially when you have a serious case like theirs. Right now, Ohio is not executing anybody. Michigan recently stopped executions. I am hopeful Ohio will do the same. And the most important thing is to lift these people up in prayer and know that there is a God that can override anything in life. Please check out our website at www.changestartswithusohio.org. Again, that is www.changestartswithusohio.org. And Jasmine, I still need a picture of you and a little bio as our new secretary. And I am so excited, folks, with this show. I believe it's going to get these people heard. And we're willing to interview other people that are wrongfully convicted or totally innocent. And I'm open-minded even on parole reform because that was always my passion. I knew nothing about really wrongful conviction except I was wrongfully convicted and nobody listened. But now I'm starting to hear these stories and something's got to be done. I mean, people, and I guarantee Ohio has executed innocent people in the past. And we need to stop that if we can. And we need to gain support. On the 17th of this month from 1 to 3 p.m. at Chillicothe Correctional, we are protesting the death sentence. We want the death sentence to be abolished in the state of Ohio. And I became friends with these two young men. So I don't want to see them executed. And I'm going to fight with them till the end. And I'm sure you will. And let's see what, in order to investigate, we have to get questions in. All they need to one person to hear things, but they have to allow questions, and we have to stay on the topic of what went wrong in the case. True. And I think a lot of it is better if they can call you directly or, JPay, we can put some of the questions on here, but remember, each phone call they do is 15 minutes, so it's kind of limited. So tomorrow, come with your questions and try to make it easy so that I can kind of understand it and present it. You know what makes me look smart is the executive board of our organization. It's not me. So Jasmine, the king, I see somebody else took my name. By the way, Nikita, see this right back here? Our hat. It says king. I just want everybody to see that, though. But good try. Okay, everybody. We'll talk to you tomorrow, and please spread the word and ask people to join us tomorrow, as many people as possible, and let's get the word out. Okay, everybody? Love you guys.